said, please use the chat window to drop in a quick hi. Tell us about yourself, where you're from. Also participate in the poll as well. Uh, and also, please confirm if you can hear the audio, all right, and as well as if you can see the slides as well. Hi, folks. Good morning, good evening. If you're here already, we will be beginning in the next 5 minutes. We're just setting up the webinar room and checking audio and video. Drop in and say a quick hi on the chat window. Tell us where you're from, what you do as well. And of course, give me a sound check if the audio is clear and if you're able to see the slides as well. We will begin in the next 5 minutes. Hi, Letitia. How are you? Good morning. This webinar is going to take maximum 30-35 minutes tops. That's the expected time. We'll begin in the next 5 minutes. The scheduled time is 10 a.m. London time. Folks, if you just got here, drop in a quick hi. Tell us where you're from, what do you do, and also do participate in the poll. Give me a quick sound check if you can hear everything, if you can see the slides as well. We will begin in the next 5 minutes. All right, folks, we'll be beginning in the next 5 minutes. If you're just here, drop in a quick hi, tell us where you're from, what do you do, and of course, participate in the polls as well. Just give us to give a quick description of what you do. We will begin in the next 5 minutes here. Uh, all right, good morning, folks. Who's watching this from London time? Good evening. If it's from Indian time, guys, if you just join me, drop in a quick hi on the chat window. Tell us where you're from, what you do, and of course, participate in the polls. Just to give a quick description of what you do, it will help me to make this presentation as customized as possible. So today's webinar is all about launching your online business. A quick introduction about myself. My name is Andrew Mendes. I'm going to be the host for the next 30 or 35 minutes, where I'm going to walk you through a couple of concepts that you need to know when it comes to launching your online business. So let's dive right onto it. I've been a marketing professional and entrepreneur all my life. I've worked with a lot of brands, especially in the marketing and pricing space. Uh, I used to run an agency. It got acquired by a French group. After the acquisition, I went on to actually launch a food brand, and that's a quick introduction about me and what I do and my own background. Uh, So I'd like to know a lot more about you. So if you're just joining me on this webinar today, drop in a quick hi on the chat window. Tell us about yourself. We will be taking questions on the go. And for folks, just also because this webinar will be rerun, there's also chances you might be watching. I mean, this of course is the live edition, but if some of your questions have not answered, uh, it the possible reason is because you're watching a rerun. So don't feel offended that I might not answer your question if you're watching a rerun. In the next 30 minutes, what I'm basically going to walk you through is essentials that you need to know before launching an online business. So that's what we're going to discuss here. So what's the flow of content? I've split it into four main areas. So first thing is we need to first address why should your business go online. Second, what are the different business model that you need to understand. Three, what are the key things you need to know about going online in the first place. And then we get on to the Q&A. So that's the flow. I also have a course for business owners or professionals who's looking to take your business online. It's a live online course. We will come. We'll discuss more about that towards the end of this session because I will be only able to cover that much in 30 minutes of time. So a lot more of content will be in this live on this online course that I've launched. So we'll talk about that. All right. So, hi, Letitia. You are a nutrition therapist trying to take your business online. I hope your e-commerce voucher application has gone through. I think there's a bit of delay on that. As you or have you heard back from Leo in terms of where you are? Um, all right, folks. Like I said, if you just got here, just participate in the polls as well. Tell us where you're from. Bit of small. Sorry about that. All right. So yeah. So, what we are here is to discuss on how to launch your online business. So, like I said, quick, big introductions. I think I have a bit of problem with my daughter here. She just woke up. Let me handle that in a quick sec. All right. Sorry about that. I'm back. She just woke up and she was looking for a daddy. All right, so we were talking about online business launch. So, like I said, in the next 30 minutes, I'm going to walk you through the essentials. So, let's get right into it, right? I also have an online course which talks more detail about this. I will uh, give a bit of run through about that. Also, for questions I won't be able to answer here, you can always follow me on Instagram where I'll be happy to have more discussions in terms of this as well. So I'm just going to put in my Instagram URL there. So if you're on Instagram, you can follow me for any discussions that we won't be able to take in here because the scheduled time for this is 30 minutes. So follow me on Instagram to interact more about your business. So first thing, big spoiler alert before we begin is that if you're building an online business, what you need to understand is the cost that you would be investing in building a website or a mobile app, it's actually the least expensive part, because the actual expense or most of the money that you will be spending is after you create this. All right, so Netra, the webinar has just begun. If you have some trouble, please let me know if you're not able to hear your audio or if you're not able to see the slides. We've just begun here. I hope you're able to hear what I'm saying and that you're logged in from a desktop. All right, so going back, so this is something we will be coming to in a while, right? So first things is, what is the first set of questions that you need to answer before you taking your business online? So if you guys can join me here and answer these questions in the chat window, that would be amazing. So first things, who are your target customers? Is it B2B? Is it B2C? Or is it urban? Or is it rural? What is the age group? If you can just, I know some of you here might be just exploring for ideas. So even if you're just thinking about it, that's fine. Just let me know what are the kind of target customers that you're targeting on the chat window. Or I also have an easier version for you. What I can also do is I'm going to publish another poll. Yeah, so I've published another poll which might be much easier for you to participate. Just let me know what is the kind of category you're getting into. So this is the first question every entrepreneur needs to first answer, right? Who are your target customers? Are they in the B2C segment, or are they B2C segment? Are they urban? Are they rural? What age group? Very, very important questions. And why this is important, let me give you an example. I've had an interaction on Instagram about someone who came to me and said that I am doing or I'm selling food ingredients like spices or raw materials to food manufacturers, and I want to automate my business like Amazon, and I want to take my business online. This is what was a query that I come through on Instagram. Um my quick answer is a big thumbs down. This is not something that you would set up an e-commerce business model in. Obviously, I'm not saying this because it's B2B. It's much more delicate. So if you are someone who's selling a certain niche products to B2B customers who are not exploring these kind of options online, then there's no point in building an e-commerce business. They will not buy it, or they will not come for it there. So in that case, having a website is important, but you necessarily needn't have an e-commerce site or a mobile app or an Amazon-like setup to actually sell or to reach out to your customers. So this is one of the key things that people misunderstand a lot. That whatever business you're in, one size fits all sort of a thing, right? I mean, you can't be an Amazon of everything that you do. So it's very important that you answer this question in terms of who are your target customers. Is it B2B and or B2C? The next question that you need to ask is there enough volume in this business to sustain your cost, right? Now, that's again, it's a very specific to your domain sort of a question. So let's say if you're in the business of selling groceries, right? Um, Obviously, the delivery cost is going to come in. There's a lot of other costs that will come in, right? So is there enough volume in this business to sustain your cost? This is the other question that you need to ask yourself. Next question, and this is very, very important, is who are my competitors in the segment, or are there any? I mean, this is very tricky ground. I've seen people coming to me and saying that I want to sell this kind of a product or a service, and no one else is doing it out there. And if you feel that no one else is doing out there, I don't say that's an opportunity. That could also be a problem. If the market is not already there, if there are not other players in that segment, that could be a reason for that as well, right? So just because there's no competition or no one else is doing it doesn't mean that you should do it or that's a viable model. So it's important to have competition, but it's also important that you don't have too much of competition. So, for example, if you're going to take down on Amazon, that's not going to work. Let's be honest about it, right? I mean, yes, the market is big, but that space is already crowded and it has a big player with big money. So it doesn't make any point in taking them head on, right? So this is also a very important question before you take your business online. Next question is obviously, what are you selling, right? Are you selling a product or are you selling a service? Are you selling your own product? Are you selling someone else's product, right? So this is also one of the main questions that you need to answer, because your product margins and the kind of things that you want to sell, I mean, how you create this business depend upon this answer. And yes, you can sell services on online as well. I mean, I've had a lot of people coming on Instagram who want to sell services, creative services, dietitians, diet plans, for example. I myself had a client who was actually selling diet plans. The only tricky thing about selling services is that you need a lot of technology integration and a lot of effort to do that, because it's dependent on you and it's not a product. But yes, selling services online or as an e-commerce module is quite viable. So these are the four main questions you need to answer yourself before you get into an online business. Moving on, the next thing that you need to understand is what are the different online models that are out there that that you can use. Or so just to quickly run through this, this is something you might already know, right? So one is you can be a platform like Google. I mean, it's like a search engine. People search for things, right? So you can be a platform where people come and search for a product or a service, but you are not necessarily selling them. So that's one way of creating an online business. The second way is that you can be an aggregator, where obviously Uber is a classic example, where you would aggregate all the different players and you would sell it all under your brand. The third model is marketplace. So Amazon is a classic example. So Amazon is a marketplace where even you can go and sell your products or services. So marketplace is where you create a sort of a market or shop where others could come and sell their product or services. So Amazon being an example. And finally, your own portal, right? So your own service. So you're selling a service or your own product. You want to set up your own e-commerce portal. That's the main thing. So we have four business different models that you can look into: platform, aggregator, marketplace, or finally your own portal, right? So let's identify which of these are you in your case that's viable. All right, so next, moving on, the important part of today's webinar. What are the key elements that you need to know in terms of getting into an online business? Folks, again, if you have any questions, please drop them on the chat window here. I'll try to answer them on the go. Again, like I said, if I don't reply to them here, please come back to me on Instagram and ask the same question, and I'll try to answer them there as well, because I'm just trying to keep our time constrained uh, for the ease of everyone. So if you have any questions, do drop it on the chat window here. All right. I also have another poll that I want to publish right now, is to understand what stage of business are you in. So I have one more poll that's published. So please participate in that and fill me in about what stage you are in. So let's look at the key elements that you need to know when it comes to getting into an online business, right? First thing, and this is something I started the webinar with, is building a website. The cost that you spend on it actually is the least expensive part, and it's going to be the least what do you call that, effort part as well. So uh, in my experience, I've seen a lot of business entrepreneurs or business owners stressing a lot about building the website and cost around it. But let me tell you and break this to you, that's actually going to be a very, very less cost compared to the actual money you will need to spend after building the platform, which is to bring customers and to bring business. So in my experience, what I've seen is you will end up at least spending 20 times the cost of building the website or the mobile app for marketing or to bring in customers eventually. So, I mean, again, this is not a standard number. I'm just shooting a rough number from my own experience. But what I meant to say here is very simple thing. If you feel that bringing in building a website or mobile app is the biggest cost, you're wrong, because that's actually going to be the most cheapest thing that you will be doing initially. So that's one thing you need to be prepared for, is that building a website is just a very small cost. What comes after is where you will need more money and time. And the second point is that it initially, when you launch your online business, right, you build your website and you launch your online business, it will look like you're burning a lot of money with no returns, right? You look like you just have to constantly spend money without getting getting nothing much back in return. That's because normally We measure our KPIs by a return of investment model. Now, that's not the best model for an online business. And I'll give you a classic example. If you have seen how Amazon or the likes of Flipkarts have been spending money left, right, left, you need to understand that they are loss making. They're not in profit, they're operating in losses, but they still keep advertising and they still keep spending money in marketing. And the reason for that, the way they measure the KPIs is not by return of investment. They measure it by something called as customer lifetime value. And this is something you need to understand and make peace with initially itself. Is that if you measure your returns by a typical ROI method, you're going to burn, it'll look like you're just burning money, right? So, what is customer lifetime value? To put it in perspective, in simple terms, I'll give you an example here. So let's say your revenue is €1,000 or $1,000 or whatever it is, right? And you spend $330 in ads. All right. So your revenue from that is $1,000. You spend 330, right? So the cost of sales in this case is 33%, which is the money you spend for ads. Now, if you split that up, right? So if you look at it, after reducing the cost of the goods, so you're selling a product or service, there's going to be a cost of that. That's going to be 420. And if you again reduce that with this, you look like your margins is 280, which is like minus 15 percentage in this case, because you're looking at ROI. But when it comes to online business, one thing you need to understand is acquiring a customer means he or she will keep buying back from you provided you don't screw up, right? So with CLB, what happens is you also consider your future profit, and when you consider your future profit, you will know that your CLV ROI is 76 percentage and not minus 15 percentage. So what it means is that in a typical measurement of ROI, you only look at your immediate margin, right? You have an order, you have a revenue, and you look at margin. But customer lifetime value, it also looks at future profit, and that is very, very important. And that's the model that online businesses need to focus on and not at immediate returns. Now, if I am to put a formula on this, this is how it would be. And folks, don't worry about noting these down. Once this webinar is over, I will be sending you the link for this presentation so you can go back and look at it as well. Also, I'll be sending you a replay link if you want to see this webinar again. So a lifetime value or a customer lifetime value, the way it's calculated is in like this. So first you calculate lifetime value. So that means what is the average value of your sales. So let's say if you're running a coffee shop or you're selling if you're operating an online restaurant or online food business. So what is your average value of sale? Let's say that that's $10, right? Then you look at what is the number of transactions that a customer can make with you in a month or in a year. So let's say he or she makes 2 or 3 purchases, right? So average value is 10, 10 into 3 into 12. That's the total value. Plus the retention period means how much time will that customer keep buying from you? Let's assume it's 5 years. So that's 10 into 3 into 12 into 5. That's the lifetime value, right? That multiplied by your profit margin is your customer lifetime value. That's how you calculate CLV. So if you do that, you measure your whatever you do in terms of marketing alongside that, you will have a positive sort of result, and otherwise it'll look like you're just burning money. Next thing, choosing the platform or agency or tech partner to build the thing for you, right? So you're building an e-commerce site or a mobile app. How do you go about it, right? So there's different ways. So let's say assuming you're going to work with a third-party provider or a technology partner, only one thing that you need to keep in mind is that, like I said, most of the work comes after you build the website or the mobile app itself. So ideally, you try to use as much as existing platforms as you can for this, like the likes of Shopify or Squarespace or WooCommerce. What it means is when you brief your tech partner, ask him or her to use existing platforms as much as possible. I know it's not always viable, but whenever you can do it, do that. A, to keep costs low, but more importantly for future scalability. And in case if you're building a fully customized platform, just brief your tech vendor that you need to have integration with, let's say, Instagram or Facebook or CRM or other marketing tools that needs to be built along with it. Because otherwise what will happen is when you build a customized code, if they don't know this already, they'll come back to you with another set of bills when you try to integrate, the likes of Facebook or any marketing tool. So for that case, brief your vendor properly. Now, let's say if you are building an e-commerce site, a simple e-commerce site, you don't really need a technology vendor. You can actually do it yourself. Now, I know I've introduced myself as an advertising person, but I have zero knowledge about building a website or have building or writing code for that fact. But using platforms like Squarespace or Shopify, I have actually built e-commerce sites for my clients. So, and that's something you can do yourself as well. Now, in this case, I can also offer you some help. Like I said, I have a course it's all about building and launching your online business. So we'll come to that. But the more important point is, if you're building a simple online platform, you don't need a technology mentor. You can do it yourself as well. Next point, you need a good CRM. Now, once you have your website and while you build it, other thing that you need to look in parallelly is about using a good CRM. Um, Anyone here who's familiar with what CRM is? Anyone have any of you actually used a CRM in your profession or your business before? Basically, CRM is a customer relationship management software. That's what the full form of it is. I can show you a few examples of CRM that I use for a couple of my clients. But just to understand, anyone here who actually have used CRMs before for your clients or for your business, please let me know. Is there anyone who's used a CRM here? No. All right. So what the CRM essentially does is that, see, once you acquire a customer, or even if you don't acquire a customer, if you acquire a lead, it's important to understand their behavior pattern and then to do marketing accordingly. And that's what CRM helps you to do it. Now, just to show you something, let me see. All right, so I'm gonna show you a CRM tool that I use for my client. This CRM is called Drip, DRIP. It's especially made for e-commerce. This is the dashboard, as you can see, and if I go here, I know my total revenue, and I know, what's drip attribute, which means what came in through marketing, and a couple of strategies that I've implemented here, and how much revenue that has brought to me here totally. I know how many people have, let's say, in the last 7 days ordered just once, how many people have ordered twice. All that information is right here, right? Now, why I said a CRM is important is because this will help you to segment your customers better. So, let's say, for example, I want to know who are the people who was bought from me in the last, let's say, okay, let's say play who has not placed an order at least once in this month. So if I want to target customers who hasn't placed an order at least one this month, using the CRM, I can select those customers. I can find who they are, right? And I can accordingly. So there's 2,600 people who haven't bought. Now, if I look at people who have placed an order, again this month, again when you look at this month, it's just been a week, so it'll be very less. So in the place people who have placed an order, that looks like around 430 people, right? So I can then target or make marketing accordingly. And like I said, this tool also helps us to see what the customer is doing, what are the website transactions, you know, how much emails have gone to them, which are the emails that went to them. Everything is right here in the CRM for us to see and understand. And this is a data that you need to look at, on an everyday basis, uh, because like I said, what is important is that you market to your customers as and when based on their behavior pattern. So a CRM software is essentially important to understand that. So there's a lot of CRM software available out there. Yes, ClickFunnels is also one of them that you can use. So a lot of CRM softwares out there that you can use. What I showed you right now, something called as Drip, DRIP. It's exclusively made for e-commerce. It's very handy for e-commerce entrepreneurs, and it by default integrates with Shopify and WooCommerce. So if you're building in a different platform, it might be a bit of complication, but it's possible to integrate it. All right, moving on. The next point, and this is a bit of marketing. If you're looking at getting the initial visibility, high visibility, without spending much money on ads on Facebook, PR. is going to be the key. And this is something we try for our clients as well. When I say PR, I mean media relations, or press releases or media mentions about your business or about your app. That's going to be the key initially to get you maximum visibility at almost no cost. Now, how you go about it, right? Either you can hire an agency, like hire a PR consultant who will do that for you, or you can do it yourself as well. So what do? You go to Twitter, right, and type in hashtag PR request or hashtag Zono requests, and you can see. I don't know if you can see the screenshot here. If I go to Twitter now and look at PR requests, these are people, journalists who have basically saying, I'm looking to chat to women who have launched their business, looking for a bartender or a mixologist. So all the journalists, they are also looking for stories. So they come and put here journal request here. So you can reach out to them and share your startup or your business, and get some press releases. And this is going to help you in terms of getting that initial traffic, bringing some visibility, and of course, a bit of organic SEO. So, main 6 points that I wanted to discuss here. So, let's summarize everything before we move out. So first thing first, the questions that you need to answer, right? We looked at it about your target customers, is it B2B and B2C? Then we looked at what are the different platforms out there. You can either be a platform, you can be an aggregator, or you can have your own portal. Then we looked at the important things that you need to know. So first thing, the cost of the website is going to be the least part. Second thing, you need to look at customer lifetime value. Um, to understand your marketing better. Three, when you choose your agency or tech platform, try to use as much as existing platforms like Shopify or WooCommerce or Squarespace. Four, if you're just building a simple e-commerce site, you don't need a tech partner. You can do it yourself without knowing any code. Five, you need a CRM, and that's going to be an essential part of your long-term growth. Um, and finally, PR is very important for bringing in that initial traffic. All right, so I guess, yeah, we have finished it before the 30 minutes timeline. So I can take any quick questions here if you have any questions. Like I said, if I'm not able to answer those questions, you can of course follow me on Instagram. I have published the link for you as well right now, so that you can follow me there. Now, getting on to the course that I was talking to you about, I am giving away 50% off on that course just for all the attendees here. So I have a course which basically walks you through in terms of how to launch your online business, starting from building your own website to marketing to everything you need to know. So more detailed stuff that we couldn't discuss here on this free webinar, it's going to be in the course there. So you can avail it for the next 10 hours at a 50% reduced cost. The code that you need to use is webinar 50, and you get 50% off in that course right now. So that's one other thing. So let's get on to any questions in terms of what we discussed here, folks. Is there any quick questions that I can take as well? Also, I've published one another poll in terms of the content that we discussed today. Do you like it or not? So, any questions that we can quickly take in here about what we discussed? Was it clear? Um Chandana, I got your message saying you're not able to join. Is it sorted right now? Are you from mobile or desktop? Is it visible? So I hope the session today was gave you a basic overview of how to go about online, launching your online business, or whether you need to launch your online business as well, right? So questions. To collaborate as a seller, what all data should be necessarily presented? Can you tell me some marketing strategies? So again, because there's no quick answer to that. Some of it is available in my previous webinar. Second, I can give you a walkthrough about how to actually market your online business in my course, which is published at reduced cost. But the only easiest thing I can give you right now is the PR thing that we discussed about. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but for my client that I worked, so I don't know if you can read this here. One of the clients that we recently launched, what you see here is the traffic rate. Out of the traffic, a considerable traffic rate came from the press releases. And these were done without much cost. All we had to do was contact these donors and tell them, give them the press releases and tell them to write about it. So that's the easiest, one of the main things I can give you as a free advice right now in terms of marketing. About collaborate as a seller, Saloni, I'm not sure about your question. Can you brief that a bit more? Are you saying to collaborate as a seller on Amazon, or is it anything else? All right, Hariran, your question is: can we manage our e-commerce on our own as a single person, or do we need team? Well, Hariran, that question depends on what kind of e-commerce are you selling? Are you a restaurant owner who's taking online food orders? Yes, you can handle a lot yourself. Are you selling products? Are you selling multiple products? Initially, yes, you can handle all that yourself, but long term, you would need a team. Nizar, clever. Well, I am not sitting here for charity, Nizar. I also need to pay bills, make money like yourself as well. All right, so I hope that helps. All right, so Harihan, as for your question, it's always good to have a team working with you because the long term for your growth as an entrepreneur you can't do everything yourself, so it's good to have a team back you up for your marketing. So that's going to be very important to have a winning team behind you always. um, Saloni, in terms of Amazon, see, each of the website, eBay or Amazon, they have their own policy to, put in as a seller. Sometimes it is about you have a company registered, you have certifications and that kind of stuff. You can also sell as an individual as well. So Amazon policies are very strict. eBay has less stringent policies. You can now even sell in Facebook marketplaces, for example. I don't know if that's launched in India, but in Ireland and UK, a lot of transaction happens in Facebook marketplaces. Of course, in India, you have the likes of OLX where you can sell as well, which is not much complicated. So, in terms of the things that you need to identify as a seller, it depends on which platform you choose. So, I would say you need to research on your own in terms of which platform you want to try selling as well. So, folks, like I said, if I'm not able to answer your question here, you can always ping me on Instagram for any more questions. And like I said, I have this course which is available on 50% discount, which sort of walks you through in terms of launching your online business, even building your own website for that fact. The course material is added every week, so there's fresh content available, and you can access it from your mobile or desktop anytime you want. Any more questions that I can take here, or we are almost at our time limit. It's almost 10:30 here. We have another 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes that I can take questions. That else we can wind up here, folks. Like I said, if I don't answer your questions here, the only other reason is that you're watching a rerun of this webinar. So please come back to me on Instagram and ask the same question, and I'll try to answer it there. Otherwise, folks, it looks like the questions have dried up. So many thanks for everyone who's been here for this webinar, and thanks for the feedback and for the questions. And I hope it was useful for you for your online business. Uh, like I said, I can help more in terms of either working with you or, in fact, I can also share case study about a client that I worked with in terms of e-commerce launch and how we grew their business. That link is now published and you can access them. Also, this course is now available for the next 10 hours for you to buy at 50% off. Once this webinar is over, I will send you a replay link along with the link of this deck as well if you want to go back and research. So, folks, thanks for joining here today. I'll take in any more questions on Instagram. Many thanks. You have a good week and a good day ahead.